Pat, it's great to see Extensio here this morning ahead of York. He's a 7-year-old now. How did you come by him?
Oh my God! Now that's a very interesting story and a very lucky story. My wife had sold a half-bred horse in the week, and we arranged that I would meet the person from Wicklow at Goff's, and I would have a little social with my buddies, have a look around and come away home. Michael Brown, Muckler's Hill stud, met me, told me, Pat is a cracking little yearling after going out, no bid in the ring, will you come and have a look at him? I said, of course I will, Michael. Went down, pulled him out, loved him, rang Una immediately and said that I'm buying this horse even if he only ends up pony racing for someone, because he was a low little model. Quick look at the catalogue, minimum bid 800. So needless to say, I got him for less than that. He was affectionately known as Teabags then for the following year, because the last thing Una said to me as I left the house that day was, get some tea bags. So instead of tea bags, I arrived home with a horse.
How did he start off? He was obviously a bit of a slow developer.
As you know yourself, Fran, he just always moved easy. Always did everything, even though he was very small for his peer group now, and very immature. But there was never a day up to now, touch wood, thank God, that I ever had a negative thought about him. We always loved him. We wouldn't be gunning 2-year-olds here. You would, you'd be assessing them, and the bottom line obviously is if they can be sound, and always loved him. But he was always going to be Sylvia's ride, so it was going to be a slow burn, so that the two of them could evolve together.
And it was a learning curve for both of them.
That's it, absolutely. I'd like to think that we introduce all horses here that way. Indeed, you rode a bit for me in the past, and I think we definitely would produce the few horses we have. Yeah, they'd be good rides.
Take us back to that day when he won the Ladies' Derby under Sylvia. Great scenes.
Oof. I have a photograph ready for you inside when we have a cup of tea maybe or whatever of me obviously crying, and Jane Mangan nominated it as the interview of the year, so that kind of tells a story in itself. I've always been one to wear my heart on my sleeve. I have no problems with that, but as any parent will know, and particularly with the father-daughter dynamic, you just don't beat that.
No. And to win a race like that at Curragh.
Well, yeah, it was a good pot now. It was a good pot. It was a good pot, but he was the type of horse that there was no way he was exposed. He couldn't be exposed because of his style of racing and obviously Sylvia's inexperience. And Billy Lee won the first race on him, so he taught him a thing or two that day. We were always well positioned coming up to it, and then she was second in Leopardstown just before it, and he won on the day.
Special days and great scenes after that interview, and everyone very emotional, and why not?
Oh, why not? Absolutely. As I said on the day, if I had the good fortune to train a Grade 1 winner, it would pale into insignificance.
Last season, won a maiden hurl, he won a Clonmel, he went to Newmarket.
Yeah, he only went in the maiden hurdle because we had entered him for Haydock. Haydock turned up soft, so quick plan B. Thankfully we had our schooling done, entered him, funny enough, this day, or is it just Roscommon today? This day, 12 months ago, he went to Roscommon and won his maiden hurdle, nicely. So we put our flat hat back on then. The Clonmel Cup was coming up, and he won that so well that I had thought about the English Cesarewitch, but he wouldn't have got into that. So we said, let's have a go at the English Cesarewitch trial. So that was good. 9 runners, and Joey just got a little bit caught at one stage. Andrew Balling's filly came up on the outside. She subsequently ran into Cesarewitch. Noel Mead's horse was second. She ran a big race in the Cesarewitch. But we weren't tempted to go for the Cesarewitch, even though, funny enough, we would have crept in. He had enough done.
It was a great run under the circumstances, and given the way he's progressed, did it surprise you how well he's getting staying trips?
You were always cognizant of the stallion. He's by extension a horse bred by local studman here, Paul McCartan. Carved out his career in Hong Kong. It would be unusual, like if he was an extreme galloper. But obviously I haven't said he isn't yet.
Definitely not. And this year, start off season fair, it was quite an eye-catching run that occasion. It was carrying a little bit of condition.
Carrying a lot of condition. I was really, really annoyed with myself that day. Why was I annoyed? Because the 2 previous seasons I'd always run him over a mile with Sylvia on. Like, he was only beaten 7 lengths over a mile in the Curragh last year. And I couldn't get that run into him because he was too highly rated. What a great problem to have. So I went to Navan, where Navan held schooling races, and she walked him over a mile. It still wasn't enough. It still wasn't enough. And really the problem that day was that good horse of Philip Burns went way off in front, and he really stretched him.
Out on Friday, yeah.
Yeah, out on Friday, correct. So he came home, he was low now for 10 days after that. But we got him back, and back to Fairy House then.
Really good win then. He was very impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. And the form is frank since, even though it's the last thing I would think of, but obviously Durkin's horse was second in the Connacht in the race in Galway the other night. Even Bustleton was behind him that day, if you don't mind. So yeah, no, he's teed up well now for our next assignment.
How did that come about? How did you pick York Racecourse for your next run?
Well, you're always watching England, obviously, and you're always watching good pots. But I just feel that those tracks like Newmarket, Haydock, York, when you have what I still think is maybe, we won't say improving, but a horse that I think certainly isn't totally nailed by the handicapper yet. I think the last thing you want to be doing in those situations is getting into trouble in your runs or whatever. So that's why we didn't go to Galway. So it's hopefully the elimination of a variable that you arrive into your big straight there and best man wins.
And given the way he travels to a race, that flat 4.5 furlong running should suit him very well, you think?
Absolutely, again, yeah. Although, you know, he's a galloper. He's a galloper. So I would be, I probably could end up with egg on my face and he'll get blocked 4 times. But no, I think it's one less variable in theory that you have to worry about.
How's he been since Fairy House? I must say he looks extremely well. I've seen him at all stages this year. He's just getting to his peak.
Yeah, I would be very happy where he is. Very happy where he is. Had a few down days. Walked in Knockcaney Stud. Walked at Neelis Hayes's on Saturday morning. Met his benchmarks. You know, blew off quick, happy. And he'll probably go to the Old Vic 10 days before he goes to York.
One last bit of work away from home.
One last bit of work away from home. And it's not working the Lion Killam's John Gosden scenario. And the Gallop man from Newmarket, it's not. It's just an away day. I'll let Sylvia ride him because she rode him the last time, and we'll just kind of do the same as we did before Fairy House. And I'm sick of, I love reading the quotes from the trainers, kind of all the work is done now.
How exciting is it for you and your family? Your family operation, your son Patrick's here, you got your wife Una, Sylvia rides him at home in the mornings when she's here. To go to York with a chance like this, a big handicap, you're a new marker last year, but the countdown is on now. Yeah,
no, it's great. It's very exciting. It'll be a lot more exciting than going to the Cesarewitz last year. I was very nervous going to the Cesarewitz last year, but I think the horse, has kind of copper fastened our faith in him and that. So really looking forward to it. And as I said back in the day, we've no problems getting beaten, coming home with our tail between our legs. That's sport. And so it's good.
And you can see here this morning, you live and breathe this.
100%. I've been very fortunate that at the time it wasn't great. Now I left school halfway through 5th year back in the day, CCR Osprey. Brendan O'Rourke, a great racing man, was my teacher, one of my teachers, and he wanted me to do veterinary at the time, I remember. But anyway, I left and I went off to Liam Brown's, who Liam would have been the Andrew Balding of his era, and went there and never looked back since. In that I never left the industry, and to get a bit philosophical, I would be lived by the creed of the great Sir Winston Churchill. There's something about the outside of a horse that's good for the inside of a man.